Hey you guys, it's Maddie Massacre. Welcome to my channel if you are new here, and welcome back if you're not. Today I have kind of a fun video for you, and we're going to talk about the 5 things to consider before getting a tarantula, so stay tuned. Number 5 on the list of things to consider before getting a tarantula is that they tolerate being held. So if you want an animal that you can hold, if you want an animal that you can cuddle and smooch on, tarantulas are not for you because they don't really like being held. I know that you see in my Instagram posts or on my channel that I hold my tarantulas, which is true. I do hold my more docile tarantulas, but at the end of the day, they do not like it, and we have to put the spider's interest before our own. So they're not really an animal that you can take out every day and tote around the house or take on a coffee run with you. You know what I mean? They only tolerate being held. So it's not necessarily something that they like. So if you want an animal or an amphibian that you can hold more often, I may do a video about that, but that's something to consider before you do get a tarantula. Number 4 on the list of things to consider before getting a tarantula is that they do not really need a lot of cleaning. I know a lot of other pets that you may have require quite a lot of cleaning, and they're quite a lot of effort to take care of, whereas tarantulas, you don't ever have to clean their enclosures, like ever. You just fill it with substrate and that's it. That's not to say that you don't need to clean it unless you run into a problem with mold or mites, which are 2 very serious topics that we'll talk about later in another video. But other than that, you don't really ever need to clean their enclosures. So that's number 4. If you do want a pet or an animal that you don't really have to clean, consider that before getting a tarantula, because you don't really ever have to clean them. Tip number 3 on the list of things to consider before getting a tarantula is kind of owning some of them are like owning pet holes. And what I mean by that is that these guys are opportunistic animals, so they burrow and then sometimes you don't see them for months. So if this happens to you and you want a tarantula and you don't see yours, don't pick apart its substrate, don't pick apart the decor, don't go digging for it. They burrow, and that's completely normal behavior for them. So if you're not okay with an animal that you probably will not see for months on end, a tarantula is not. Like I said, owning tarantulas sometimes is like owning a dirt patch because you barely ever see them. This is my Singapore blue sling, and I have not seen her in about 3 weeks. She's obviously in there. She has burrowed, but just consider that if you want a cool animal to look at, sometimes there's nothing to look at. So just consider that before you bring a tarantula home. Tip number 2 on the list of things to consider before getting a tarantula is kind of a big one for a lot of people, and that is if you are squeamish and you don't like bugs, don't get a tarantula. What I mean by this is tarantulas eat insects, and by insects I mean roaches, superworms, hornworms, mealworms, waxworms, anything under the sun. Tarantulas will probably eat insects. So if you're not okay with feeding an insect to your pet, do not get a tarantula. If you collect tarantulas like I do as well, and you have quite a few of them, you're also going to have to get feeder insects and keep those feeder insects healthy so you can feed them to your tarantulas. And what I mean by that is I order all my insects in bulk so I can feed them to my tarantulas. So if you don't like insects and you want a lot of tarantulas, that's probably not the best option, because you're going to have to buy a bunch of feeder insects in bulk and keep them until your tarantulas are ready to eat them. So that's not going to be the best pet for you if you do not like to have insects in your house, if you don't like to touch insects, if you don't like to see insects, because those are kind of the only thing that tarantulas eat. So keep that in mind before you get one. And tip number 1 on the list of things to consider before getting a tarantula is also a big one, and that is that they are addicting and they don't need a lot of space. So if you get one, like I started off with 1 turned into 2 turned into 10, and 10 turned into 20. So just be mindful of that. If you get a tarantula and you keep them on a little shelf, but then you see there's another species that you want in another color, or you get a male and you want a female, just be prepared that you're probably going to end up with way more than you bargained for, because tarantulas are addicting. It truly is a hobby to people like myself, and they are like a collection. Not to say that we don't treat them like animals, because we of course do. They are living beings, but collecting the different species is part of the hobby. So if you get one, you're definitely going to end up with way more, because there's going to be another one down the line that you want, that you see, or that you want to add to your collection and you want to look at it, or you want to hold it from time to time. So just before you consider getting a tarantula, make sure you know that you're probably going to end up with way more. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Those are my top 5 things to consider before getting a tarantula and bringing one home. Like I said, they are kind of important, and sometimes these are things that often get overlooked by people. So just consider that, kind of go back, do your research, and if you feel that one is still right for you and none of these 5 things on the list bothered you, get a tarantula. Send me pictures on Instagram. By the way, I do have an Instagram. It's maddie.massacre. I use it way too much. Make sure to follow me there. Subscribe, like, share, comment, whatever you have to on this video. I'm trying to grow my channel as much as possible, and it would mean quite a lot. And that's it. So I'll see you guys next time for more educational videos and spider fun. I hope you have a good day, and bye.